Okay, so I'm just putting a little tutorial together on some basic weathering on this rail car, this little Hornby 00 scale box car. It's a little fish van, fine fish van. What we're going to do today is just take you through some very basic techniques. Hopefully I can get them all in the right order for you, just so we can follow the process that I use from start through to finish. It's by no means the right way to do things, or the only way to do things I should say. It's just a way that gives us relatively easy methods that end up giving us a pretty decent result. Hopefully will look good on your layout. Alright, so that's our subject we're working on today. Some of the equipment that you're going to need for today and supplies you'll need for today in no particular order. We've just got some alcohol, we've got some enamel thinners, we've got some lacquer thinners, just Tamiya brand there. This enamel thinner, sorry, it's just a generic brand, it's not important about the brand. I've got a flat clear. This is SMS brand, but again, the brand doesn't really matter, it just happened to be what I had today. You could use Testors dull coat, anything that's going to give it a matte finish really. Tamiya flat clear works just as well. Some Tamiya paints, just for mixing up some grime. I've got some dark yellow here and some black, flat. The dark yellow colour is probably not the best, but it's all I actually had on hand today, so I'm going to mix up a grimy colour using that one. Got some life colour acrylic paint. It's just a medium grey colour. Any medium grey colour will kind of do. Colour's not really important. We're going to use that to dry brush a little bit later. We've got a couple of oil paints here. Again, these are just generic dollar shop style oil paints. For what we need, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. We're not doing up a competition, King Tiger for a modelling competition or anything like that. For our purposes today, generic oil paints are fine. We've got some paper towel. We're going to use that for the oil paints later, just to remove some of the oil out, so that it doesn't take weeks to dry. Over here, just a small selection of brushes. I've got a fine detail brush we'll use to push that oil paint around later. When it comes to our dry brushing, we've got an older, more worn style small fan brush there for that really. And this relatively cleanish, newish brush, we're going to use that to put our enamel thinners or our alcohol on there, just to drip it on later. So it needs to be relatively cleaner type of brush. We've got some ground pigments here. This is just a dark, dirty, grimy mix of brown and black that I've crushed up. You can either put it in a plastic bag, hit it with a rolling pin several times, just to roll it all up. I haven't got rid of all the granules out of there yet, but there's certainly plenty of powder in there to suit our purposes. There's no specific mix you need. As long as it looks grimy and dirty, it'll do the job. Lastly, we've got this thing which looks a bit ugly at the moment. This is just a circle template available from any newsagents really. I've covered one of the holes around with some masking tape just so I can spray up against it. What we're going to do is we're going to remove the road wheels from this train, the wheels, push them up underneath through here, and that way our paint will only stick to the surfaces that we need it to stick. It won't be anywhere that's going to affect the running of the rolling stock a little bit later on. So that's what we're working with today. For our first little test subject here, this fish van, what we're going to do first is we're going to come up under here and spray it with a grimy mixture using the Tamiya paints and a bit of lacquer thinner. We're going to get that nice and dirty and dark. We're going to spray all up underneath, including the couplings, all the way across here. We're going to remove these wheels first and this rooftop as well, and we're going to extend some of that grime just up underneath there and onto the bottom of the blue surfaces there as well, just at the base, just to give it a little bit of a grimy look to start with. Okay, so we're going to hit that with the airbrush first. Back in a sec.